Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I wanted to talk about just overall forgiveness and being kind to myself after everything that I have gone through and just the different thoughts and emotions that come up throughout this entire healing journey. So, as many people know, I've dealt with severe food addiction and binge eating disorder for over 10 years. And February 2025, I finally regained control of my mind and body for the first time in what feels like my entire life. But I am in a completely different position than I was even just 6 months ago. And I'm very grateful for that. Being the superstitious person that I am, I always thought to myself, like, how did I get here? Like, what did I do so wrong in my life that I was punished with this horrible experience in my life? Like, the past 10 years feels like have been ruined from my life. From the outside looking in, it may seem like all is good. I've lived a what most people consider a successful life. I decided to pick up my life and move down to Florida. I have gone out of my comfort zone. I have amazing relationships with my friends and my family. So from an outsider's perspective, maybe everything looks like rosy and dandy, but I have been struggling for 10 plus years, but the last 10 years just being so beyond brutal. And I am just so happy to be on the other side of that journey right now. But yeah, I always thought, like, why me? Why did this happen to me? Why am I going through this? And I guess the more negativity you put around your experiences, the more negativity you're probably going to face. If you keep saying, why me? It makes you a victim, and therefore more of that negative energy will probably fall upon you, which is what happened to me, I believe. But there's a bunch of different paths and roads that have led me to this day. So I kind of just want to go through a few different things. So, to start off from a positive perspective, I believe that I went through everything that I did because I was meant to help others in my life. I never knew what that meant. I knew I always wanted to work for myself and have my own business and be able to help people, but you kind of have to go through something to help people, in my opinion. I would not want help from somebody who did not experience what I experienced. Everybody is different. That's my personal opinion. And if I'm going to help people, I want to be able to talk from my own personal experience. So I truly believe that I had to not only hit rock bottom, but hit rock bottom and then dig the hole a little bit deeper from rock bottom, because that's when you are just at the absolute worst part in your life. You feel like you can't crawl out. And I did. I crawled out of there. So from an overall perspective, yes, I have gone through this experience to be able to help other people. I hit the weight, the heaviest weight I was at, to be able to help other people, to be able to say that, well, I used to weigh XYZ pounds. I still haven't shared that publicly yet. I don't know when I'm going to feel comfortable sharing the weight that I got to. Maybe if I lose, not if, when I lose, like, 20 or 30 more pounds and get like even further away from it. But even being like 55 pounds away from it, I still can't believe it. And when I keep talking about it and people not knowing, that's probably really annoying. So I will stop. But I do believe that every rock bottom I hit I had to, in order to be able to talk on it and for my impact to be that much more significant. Now, why was I actually the way that I was? That is a whole different story. I will try and explain it the best that I can without sharing too much information, because I'll go into it in a later episode for sure. I would also love to bring in an expert to talk about all these things, because I for sure am not. I just experienced it myself and I have a hard time sometimes articulating it. But the truth is, what happens is when you go through things in life, and most of the shaping that we have, and how we are as adults come from when you are a child, and the stuff that you learn as a child, the stuff that you experience as a child, whether it's something personally that happened to you or something that you saw, even something like in a movie that just stuck with you. Things can really mess you up as a child. You have this view of the world that may be different than other people because of something that you experienced, and it can shape for sure who you are as an adult. So, just to take a step back, you're going to have a whole spectrum of things, and somebody who may have experienced the most horrific things that a human could do, and they may have experienced it themselves or seen it happen to themselves, to a family member or someone close to them, they could grow up and they don't have the same experience as somebody else who may have experienced something a little less traumatic. So I preface that by saying everybody is very different. Everybody has their own opinions. I think the word trauma, unfortunately, has been overused now, and therefore it diminishes those that have actually gone through really horribly traumatic experiences. But everybody's journey is very different, and how we are shaped as adults is determined by how you were as a kid. So things that you have gone through are what makes you who you are today. A lot of times these things that we experience are experienced subconsciously, so they're in the back of your head. You don't really know that they're going on, but there are a reason that your body physically reacts to certain things that you just don't remember necessarily, but they're always stored in your brain. So for me specifically, because I'm just talking about like myself and my own example, I went through a lot of stuff as a kid, saw some stuff, and I was trying to shove down emotions. I didn't want to feel emotions. I had this wall that was blocking me from feeling certain things, maybe remembering certain memories, really just repress that stuff. And unfortunately, when you repress stuff and you don't feel the emotions the way that you're supposed to, it's going to come up in other ways. And a lot of times in your body, it's going to come up in some form of addiction. Basically, your body is saying, I don't want to experience that emotion. I'm not ready to discover it yet or relive it or whatever it may be. So we're going to suppress it and we're going to push it down. A lot of people do that with drugs or alcohol or other forms of addiction, gambling. I had the lovely pleasure of doing it with food. Here's the thing about food. I love food, and this is not the addiction Jen talking about it. I just love the idea of cooking, and it brings people together. It's a social thing. It's something people can connect on and talk about and discuss. It's a huge part of our lives. It's a culture. It's a community. Like, I just love the idea of just sitting around a table and enjoying good food and appreciating good food and celebrating good food. Like, that's just always how I felt around food. Unfortunately, it turned into more of a negative addiction for me that led to severe binge eating and food addiction. Stories that I will share at a later point that I can't even fathom, but hiding what I was eating such large amounts of food, the most unhealthy amounts of food, not going and having a vegetable for months at a time, and just living off of carbs and starches and greasy foods and the worst stuff that you can fill your body with. I was doing this because honestly, it was totally unconscious at the time. I didn't recognize that until coming through on the other side and in the being in the future. But when I was going through everything, it just wasn't even a thought. It was just like, I'm gonna eat what I want, and I just thought like being independent and making my own decisions. Like, I can make the decisions around my own body, and so I'm gonna order what I want. Like, I don't care. Now, there's a difference between having a healthy balance and making those types of decisions and then doing what I was doing, which was making every meal a negative decision and really unhealthy for me. And you can fill in the blanks from there. It got really bad. I mean, I went through just really, really dark, depressive times, stuff that I still haven't like fully expressed or shared with anybody because it felt like it was easier to um I don't even want to go into it because I don't want to get emotional, but I felt like I couldn't stop what I was doing and nothing was going to save me. And maybe other options were easier than stopping this food addiction, is really how it felt. I'm like, how am I ever going to get out of this? Like, I am an extremely rational person. I am a type A person. I am somebody who needs to be in control, and I like to control everything. You can ask anybody around me, and I can't control this. Like, something else in my brain is controlling the food part of my life. Every other part of my life I can control, but when it came to food, I couldn't stop. I couldn't get control of it, and it just didn't feel like it was ever going to be possible for me to come over to the other side, truthfully. So this is like 10 plus years of hating my life and hating myself for allowing me to get like this. Every time I ordered something unhealthy, I was happy in the moment. Of course, it tasted good and I loved it and it was the food, but then I was like, why did I just spend that money? I just, I hated myself for spending all this money, and then I hated myself because I felt so sick. I would, go to bed every night so full and wake up every morning with a stomach ache, and sometimes just not even sleep throughout the night because I was tossing and turning because I was so full. And this was every single night, like especially in the past year before I really took control of everything. I couldn't tell you the last time that I went to bed not feeling full and just stuffed. And I was so mad at myself. And people would say you have to forgive yourself. I'm like, why? This is all my fault. Like, I did this to myself. And I got some different perspectives. Like, would you talk to your friends like this? If your friends were going through something that you knew they couldn't control, would you blame them for it? I'm like, of course not. So it's like, well, why are you blaming yourself? But of course you're going to blame yourself, because it's like it was still my brain making those decisions. And that was something that was really hard for me to grasp. What I honestly needed was a win. I needed to be able to forgive myself and be able to be proud of myself for doing something right, because for so many years it just felt like everything I did was wrong. I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't fix this. Even when I went on these like crash diets, I wouldn't lose weight because it didn't matter. It didn't matter. The food didn't matter. It was all about my brain. It was all about my mentals. And I didn't care about what I was eating because I didn't care about my body. I didn't care about myself. The more, it was a vicious cycle. The more I would order food, the more I would hate myself. The more I would hate myself, the more I would treat my body disrespectfully. And it just continued on and on for far too long. But again, I had to go through that. I had to feel the worst of the worst so that I could now feel the best of the best. Like, I look at my life now and things seemingly aren't that different, but my brain went from black to pink. Like, it just, like, I can't believe it. I really, and I still say this because the big transition for me really happened in February 2025, and we're just in June. So it has not been that long, but the difference in my mindset just around food and the relationship with food and the balance is so significantly different. It's actually wild. So I've had to come to terms with old Jen and how I used to be and forgive myself for getting to that point, and just knowing that it's going to lead me on a better path for the future. But it definitely does pose some challenges in my everyday life. I think something that always stopped me from wanting to cure the binge eating is I always thought like, well, I kind of love this part of my life. I don't love what it's doing to me, but like I love the food and I really enjoy it. And like, I'm never going to be able to have pizza again. Like, that scared me. And I think that's why I never wanted to fix it, on top of obviously the emotional stuff that needed to be fixed. But I just didn't see it as a fix because I never wanted to restrict myself. Anytime in the past I've ever restricted myself, it's turned on me and I've punished myself even further for trying to restrict. So I'm like, what is that going to do? When you actually get past it though, and like did the work that I did, and put in the time, and now have such a different mindset. It's not about restricting, it's literally about balance. It is the best feeling in the world. I do not feel deprived of anything. I know at any point I can have whatever I want. Right now, I'm just choosing not to because I am trying to release weight off of my body. But I am just focused on a healthy body, not like only focused on weight. It's all about health in general. And I've had to learn to forgive myself for those negative thoughts. I also, too, it's not like the cravings go away. Like, I'm not thinking about mozzarella sticks. Like, it's not constant like it used to be. I used to wake up and be like, all right, what's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What am I going to order today? It's not like that anymore. But cravings still happen, and you're still going to think about foods, and you're going to be around people eating foods that you used to love and crave and eat all the time. And I just have the control over my brain now to just say no. And I did not have that control before. Because even if in the moment I would say no to something because I was trying to put on this like external view of what my life looked like, and like, yeah, I'm in control of food. And they offered me something, and I was like, no, I don't need that French fry. Well, the next time I was alone, the first thing I was doing was ordering French fries because I needed to satiate that craving. And I just don't have that now. But what's interesting is I was always scared, like at first when I, quote unquote, cured what was going on. Those thoughts were still coming up, and I'm like, oh my God, am I not cured? Is there something wrong? Like, Is something negative going to happen? It really did kind of freak me out because these thoughts were coming up. And then all of a sudden I had that realization, like, these thoughts will always come up in your life. You didn't lose your brain, but you know how to control it. And that to me is everything. Like, I can have these thoughts and I do not have to give in to my brain's cravings. So just last week, I had a craving for something and I got like really mad at myself. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you thinking about this? Like, come on, you cured yourself. And then I was like, I didn't have a craving. I had a thought. Like, I thought about a food, but I didn't get it and I didn't need to get it. And honestly, I forget what it is now. In the past, that would have sat with me. If I thought about like a food, like if I thought about a deli sub a week ago, it would stick with me every single day until I had that deli sub. I don't even remember what it was that I thought about last week, but I do remember getting mad at myself and walking through the process in my brain of forgive yourself for having that thought. You lived with this addiction for over 10 years. It's not going to go away overnight. Like, this has been 10 years of your life that you spent eating like crap and with such a different mentality. And that doesn't just change uh, overnight. Now, from a physical perspective, from an actionable perspective, it has changed because I'm not acting on those cravings, but your brain is still going to think about these things. And that was really hard for me at first to kind of put together and understand. But I'm really grateful that I did have that experience because I just know now that I can crave foods, I can be around foods. It doesn't mean I need to have them, but it's still normal. My brain is still operating normal. Like, you're going to see a food that looks good and be like, that looks really good. So it's a very interesting mindset. Now, look, I can't sit here and say I'm ever going to love myself for what I did to my body in the past. I'm sure I'm going to have residual effects for the rest of my life because of harm that I've put on my body. But I have to forgive that point in my time. This wasn't me controlling what was going on. There was something else that was deeper. There were emotions that were coming up that I just never learned to handle or live with. And therefore, it was causing me to do these horrible things. My coach who got me through all this, she's an NLP coach. She considers that the bad monkey in your brain. Like, that wasn't you. That was the bad monkey talking. And that's the thing with a lot of people that go through different addictions. It's like they seem so normal and live their everyday lives, but they have this bad monkey in their head telling them to do something that they just don't have control over. And unfortunately, with a food addiction, you can't just not eat. Like, food is around you every single day. So you have to treat the root cause of the problem and not just the quote unquote symptom. Um, every type of addiction is horrible and everybody suffers in their own ways. You would never tell like an alcoholic who has overcome an alcohol addiction to go sit at a bar and just have one drink. Probably really freaking hard for them. That's like food addiction. Like, I have to eat every single day. So I have to be presented with the one thing that I am addicted to, which is challenging. And I have learned, luckily, to, like I said, get over those suppressed emotions and open the box so that it's not just sitting stuck deep inside me, actually feeling what comes up and just addressing things that needed to be addressed in my life and learning the lessons. Everybody goes through stuff, but what's the lesson that you learned from it? Whether it's the worst thing in the world you could possibly think of, you can pull one positive lesson from it. And that's what I've learned to do through my now months of this type of therapy. And it's really been great. I think I was afraid to face stuff in the past because I didn't want to relive it, but that's why it's different than like regular therapy. You're not necessarily reliving your experiences. You're not talking about your experiences and get brought up every single time on a leather couch. It's not like your typical therapy. It's a very different kind. And I've done regular therapy and it works for some people. It did not work for me. I needed to release these emotions and get rid of them. And that's why I'm forever grateful for the route that I went down with utilizing NLP. So I'll be honest, I am an extremely stubborn person. If somebody does me wrong, I have a very hard time letting it go. I have separated myself from a lot of different situations in my life just from being hurt one time. looking back on it, a little ridiculous, but that's just how I've always been. I am a very loyal person. I am a very trusting person, but if you break that, it does affect me significantly. And in the past, I have had a very hard time forgiving. So imagine how I felt with myself, and forgiving myself for everything that I've done to my own body. It was really hard. But I have learned, I've regained that self love and focusing on the things that I am happy with. But right now, in this very moment, being 55 pounds less than I was when I started this journey, 55 pounds down from my absolute heaviest, I am so proud of myself. I'm not 100% like forgiven. I still can't believe I got to where I was. And every time I look at old pictures, I'm like, holy shit, I cannot believe I got to that point. But um, I'm really starting to love the side of myself that has been able to overcome this. I it's vain, but when you start to see yourself and looks and losing weight, you start to fall back in love with like what you look like. And I've just been putting more of a focus on myself. I really lost every part of me. I didn't care what my hair looked like, didn't care what my nails looked like. I didn't care if my makeup was good or bad. I just didn't. So I'm starting to gain that all back and finding better hair routines and skin routines and consistently getting my nails done again, which I used to do. Like all the pieces of me that just were missing because I didn't. What was the point? What was the point of putting lipstick on a pig? It just didn't matter. That's how I felt. So starting to find myself again has been really amazing. Starting to fit into back into clothes that I want to wear. So I'm really proud of myself. I've learned to forgive a lot of aspects of my journey, but it's a process. And like I said, it's really, I mean, this 10 years have been a journey, but since the time that things have really taken a turn in the most positive direction, it's literally been 4 months. And I've seen so many changes in those 4 months. I mean, the weight that I have released in the 4 months has been so significant. The mental changes have been so significant. And just the progress that I have been making in general, the documentation, the podcasting, the journaling, everything that I've done has just gotten so much better because it's like I just feel a new sense of self. I really do. It's actually amazing. So very grateful at this point in my life. I do forgive myself for a lot of the stuff that I went through and a lot of the stuff that I did to myself. There's still like certain things that I'm working through, but we're gonna get there, just like I did with all the other stuff. But yeah, I guess the whole point in this is you got to learn to forgive yourself because what am I going to do? Sit here mad at myself for the rest of my life? Like I'm going in the right direction. So that's the lesson in this one. But thank you so much again for listening to another episode. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.